Hi everyone, this is a video looking at the how questions on paper 1 reading, but you can use it for paper 2 reading, it's the same skills. I put a video on Teams for the whole exam, but I'm just going to focus on this one question because it's really important. So there's 2 how questions in the exam. They can be questions 2, 3 or 4. They'll be worth 5 or 10 marks. In this video we're looking at a 5-mark question. So like I said, if it's a 10-mark question, as many quotes as you can do in 13 to 15 minutes. If it's a 5-mark question, we're going to do as many as we can in 5 or 6, ideally 4 to 6 quotes, but really it's just how many you can do in 5 or 6 minutes. The extract we're looking at is from Jurassic Park. The question is, how does the writer use language to describe the Tyrannosaurus as threatening? And it's a 5-mark question. So we're going to zoom in on 4 or 5 quotes that describe the T-Rex as scary and or intimidating. So I'll give you an example which is not in the text, but for example, if the T-Rex here was described as gigantic and silent, why might that be threatening? Well, if the dinosaur was small, it's not going to be threatening. Gigantic suggests it's giant in size, it's big, it's powerful. And if it's silent as well, that probably means that if you're around, you can't hear it coming. So that's why it's threatening. So the writer presents this as intimidating with gigantic and silent, and then my explanations are gigantic shows it's huge and powerful, silent suggests the characters will not be able to hear it. So all I'm doing is describing why the writer has purposely used gigantic, purposely used silent. They could have used a million other words, they've chosen to use those words for effect, and I'm just saying what that effect is. So here's the extract. So this is a scene where the characters are in electric cars, and the electric cars have stopped. There's a storm, so the electric is stopped, and they're right outside the T-Rex cage. And obviously, because the electric fences have gone, the T-Rex can actually get out of the cage. So it says he is Tim. He scanned the leaves and stopped. There was something beyond the leaves. Tim looked up higher. Tim was a little kid. Behind the foliage, so behind the bushes, behind the fence, he saw a thick body with a pebbled, grainy surface like the bark of a tree. But it wasn't a tree. He continued to look higher, sweeping the goggles upwards. He saw the huge heads of the T-Rex just standing there, looking at the fence of the 2 Land Cruisers. Tim watched the T-Rex. The head was huge. The animal looked from one vehicle to another. It seemed to stare right at Tim. In the goggles, the eyes glowed bright green. Tim felt a chill. But then as he looked down the animal's body, moving down the massive head and jaws, it waved in the air and then gripped the fence. The greatest predator the world has ever known, the most fearsome attack in human history. The question is, how does the writer make it sound, the T-Rex sound intimidating? So you're zooming through it, anything that sounds scary, intimidating. Always look for words that don't have to be there. So for example, the greatest predator, they could have called it a dinosaur, greatest predator. They could have said the moving down the head and jaws. They decided to put massive head and jaws. Okay, so I want you to, on your extract if you've got it, or even if you're doing it on the video, just decide now what 4 or 5 quotes you would zoom into. Pause the video. Okay, these are the ones I'm going to go for. There was something beyond the leaves. Tim looked up higher. The head was huge. It seemed to stare right at Tim. The greatest predator the world has ever known. The most fearsome attack in human history. Okay, also massive head and jaws is an easy one. So I'm going to zoom in on greatest predator the world has ever known. Okay, so the greatest predator the world has ever known. First of all, I'm going to zoom into predator. So I'm going to be that human dictionary. What is a predator? Well, a predator is basically an animal that hunts and kills other animals. Okay, so things like this, yeah. So basically, we know from a reader, if it hunts and kills animals, it can hunt and kill the humans. So example PE would be, the T-Rex is described as a predator, which shows it will try to eat. It's meant to say the characters. It says Callum because I changed it to a kid in my class called Callum. Okay, so we could also zoom into greatest. Yeah, so greatest. This shows it's the best hunter of all time. So it's not just saying it's a good predator. Greatest means it's the best of all of them. Okay, so again, try and write some PEs yourself. Pause the video if you want to. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in on Tim looked up higher. Okay, so what does Tim looked up higher? Well, it basically means it's huge, it's big, doesn't it? If he has to look and then look up higher, it means that the animal's huge. Remember, if there's another quote that says the same thing as your explanation, shove that in. So I've put they're also told its head is huge. Okay, so here are my answers. Okay, let me do them one at a time actually. So here are my answers, sorry. Oh. Blimey, it's all gone wrong here. Yeah, so one at a time then. So they don't call it a dinosaur, they say something. So this makes the T-Rex seem mysterious and unworldly. T-Rex is described as a big animal. Tim can only see it when he looks up higher. We're also told its head is huge. Right at Tim suggests the T-Rex is going to attack him. It's focusing on Tim. The T-Rex is described as a predator. This shows it would try and eat kill the other characters. Greatest shows it's the best hunter of all time. And at the end it says most fearsome attack in human history. This tells the reader that T-Rex is the scariest animal, because that's what fearsome means. Remember, this was only a 5-mark question, so I would only need 4 or 5. So I've done lots more than I need to, but I just wanted to show you an example. Remember, focus on a lot of quotes. If it's a 5-mark question, do 5 quotes in a small amount of detail as opposed to 1 quote in lots of detail. Remember, basically it's a marker quote. So if you get 4 or 5 quotes down, you can get your 4 out of 5. Okay, hope that was useful. Any problems or questions, give me a shout on Teams.